if you all know, but I was doing a TEDx event. I was the organizer, the curator. You know what a curator means? Curator is like it's the person that chooses all the speakers. Plus, I was coaching all of them. All of them were asking me, "But how can you do all of this?" And then I said, I've been living in Sweden for 15 years. In Sweden, everybody do everything alone. So I think this is a great power. You should take advantage of this power, because in countries like ours, it's like people need like a big team to do a lot of things. And I was like doing the whole thing, and people are like, "What the fuck? How can you do this?" And I'm trained. I'm here also today to share with you learnings that I had, and also some important information maybe that you would like to do a TEDx speaker one day. The tips that I have for you, it's more actually related to the mindset. I was choosing 11 speakers. What made them be chosen? First of all, who they were, as a person, and actually what they were doing in real life. Because when somebody chooses somebody to do a TED talk, TED, it's about, you cannot sell yourself, okay? So I had many speakers that were writing to me, like many people, like a lot of people want to be a TED speaker, right? And they're like writing, sending a lot of message to me, and I was watching their videos. But most of people, they think that to do a TED, to become a TED speaker, you have to sell yourself and say to the world, what do you do as a person? You don't get chosen by a TED talk, in an ego talk. It's not about you. Which idea do you have to the world? Which idea do you really will impact the world with? So, Aminata, I saw you. I said I would comment here today. So yours were really nice. I didn't know you use your voice for telling
To make a
stories,
living. Yeah.
a living. I had no idea. Great to know that. You already have this storytelling voice, even. And I said, okay, I would like to make a comment that I think you found the story. You start with a story, and then you were telling us a little bit of you, about you, what you do. That's how we know what you do. And then it became more like facts. You start to say to us what I even wrote here. You start to tell us what we could do with our voices. I think it's great, but I think that we lost the story.
You are so right. What is it that I really want to say? I mean, this was in my head all the time. What do I really want to say with this? So
Okay,
you are point on, really.
but why you think it got like this?
I got lost,
Oh,
in
I see.
uh,
Cool. So because why? Because storytelling is like we know it's like we never tell a story without a point. We tell a story and we make a point. We tell a story, we make a point. That makes easy for us to be with you. Okay. And then now Christina also did your storytelling was really nice. You were telling a story and it was cool. I think that the storytelling was really nice. But a tip I have for you is like if you see your video again, you will see that you had only one face expression, the whole story. You're telling the story like this the whole time, the same way, like oh, the same expression. If even if you're changing the emotions, your face was like the same all the time. So we need to try to embody that. Like when we're telling a story, our face also changes. You even change the voice sometimes, but your face was, your facial expression. You check later and then you tell me if you agree or not. I would like to do an exercise with you also. That was like the questions I was giving to the TEDx speakers to help them so they could produce their talk. I will give them to you so we can start crafting something and to put in practice. Okay. But before that, I would like to tell you something. One day before the TED, I was doing a speech, okay, for the Brazilian crowd. It was around 60 people. 4 speakers. I was invited to be one of the speakers. And they had 3 speakers from the government, and me, I was the only free one. You know what I mean? Let's say I had nobody telling me what to do. I was doing my thing. And they were from the government. So I felt they were like, really stressed. And they had this, they had to talk in a certain way. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I was already feeling that. I said, oh shit, it's It's probably really bad to be, you cannot be free to speak who you are. But okay, I understand. They were from the government. So they start speaking, and then one spoke, two, three, and then it was my turn. My speech, we could be completely different of their speech, the way they do. So I came down, grabbed the microphone, the wind was like introducing me on the stage, like, now it's Ricardo's turn to come to the stage. I'm really boring. And it's like, I'm not going to the stage like this. I'm not going. I said, no, let me do my own introduction, you know. And then I grabbed the microphone and then I gave it to some like strange lady that was there. And I gave her the microphone. I told her, please, you introduce me like this. And then I came to the stage with my own energy, changed the vibration of the place, and I started doing my speech. And then I started telling them what they were doing. I was trying to explain to them, my friends, there is two ways of doing public speaking. There is the didactic method and the Socratic method. There is two ways of you doing public speaking. Most of people choose the didactic method. It's called the didactic method. It's the old way of public speaking. It's the old way we learn in school. It's the old way that people do in university. And what this means, it's the way that there is only one wise person that speaks all the time and doesn't give a fuck, about the audience. We learn like this in school. Most of the people only talk and they don't care about the audience. And then I start to explaining them what we had in our course. First, connect first, send later. First, connect with your audience. After that, you send your message. All of the three speakers that spoke, they didn't do that. They're like, it's kind of like they, by purpose, were boring their audience and forcing them to become tired without knowing. Because they didn't think that the audience is more important than their message. People are not there. So like I'm saying that because we here, it's Speak to Inspire, we have this mentality that most of the speakers don't know. They don't know. Most of the people speak still on the old way. I promise you that if you've been to some event in Sweden, you probably saw that. Somebody was like doing the didactic method. We at Speak to Inspire, we use the Socratic method. Socratic method comes from Socrates, the Greek philosopher, that was the first coach, let's say, the first personal development mentor of the world. And the Socratic method, it's a method that we think first about the audience. We think about the people that we want to connect. You are more important than my message, because if I don't care about you, I cannot send you my message. And that is what I want to bring back for us, that I saw at many professional, that they call themselves professional speakers, are doing that. So that's the first tip for us. First of all, would you like to do a TEDx speech?
I would like,
In the
yes,
future, yeah. Apply for yourself, like, oh, you just send in a video and be like, oh, I want to be here. Because I mean, it's all over the world, right? Isn't it sort of
Yes.
just a brand? It's not like one form of organization only.
It's a brand that has a lot of rules that everybody needs to follow. It's kind
Mm.
of a franchise, let's say.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Follow a lot of rules to get this opportunity to do the event and to make the event something that you can continue. First of all, what do you expect from this course? Are you fulfilling your expectations? What do you want more from that? I would like to know that from you.
Simple thing, but it's hard to be interested in my own life, to notice, observe what's going on in my life, and then craft it like that. But I don't have my attention is not there. So that I'd like to learn better, to be observant of what's happening and also catch it and communicate it. Maybe craft like a TED Talk. It would be interesting to do also.
The intention with storytelling is actually to observe in our life our own life. First of all, what you said, I need to feel that my life is interesting and the things that are happening are just not random things. And that
Mhm.
and that is stories inside of that.
Mhm.
And that is the point, you know. You got the point. I mean, I think you got already the most hard. That's to understand the concept. Now it's just observate,
Mhm.
and inside of observating, seeing this was a story. That was something teaching to me. I learned something in that situation.
Mhm.
Like now, I just told you a story that happened with me on the stage. You know, I was speaking. It was three speakers, and they were not. That was something I saw happening in my life, in my reality. I said, okay, this is a story. But I think that's what I'm saying. That's why it's so important to, in my opinion, to be in a mastermind, because we are forced to practice. You do not become a storyteller, especially of your own life, if you do not practice. Because what you said is so powerful. Like, we don't see interest, we just live our life. It's kind of like, you know, we live our life, we pass walking, and then somebody's shooting somebody, and then the shooting almost touch us. We go out from the shooting, and then we start running, and there is a big rock. We hit the rock, fall close to the big hole, and we just go back home, and we think there was nothing happening in our life, you know. And then when you
Mhm.
start to think, fuck, you know, that was a story scene.
I'm thinking about something now because our daughter, she is 14 years old, and the past weeks I've been spending a lot of attention with her, with school, with. But I'd like to have stories telling with her, like what the problems she faces with social media, with friends. It's a lot of issues that she's facing and she encounters every day that millions of girls and also young boy, teenage boys have the same problem. So I'd like to craft stories about that, how TikTok and Facebook and YouTube are all exploiting all these poor teenage girls and also yeah,
Yeah.
that I feel my heart wants to tell stories about that too.
Actually, to have a small kid home, it's a great way for you to craft your own stories, because you can tell her stories, you know, to her,
Hmm.
like all these stories that you want to educate her. You create a story
Hmm.
to actually,
Hmm.
to actually teach her what you think is important.
Okay. They don't know how to communicate. Kids today, they don't know. They don't have empathy with each other. They are so afraid. That's the problem. Kids today are so afraid of each
Interesting.
other.
That's a great story. You have many stories. That's a great story. Many people need to hear.
For me, it's the whole thing of having 1,000 ideas and words in your mouth. And I mean, I've been working on thinking about benefits and all of this kind of stuff, and like, shit, I have 2 pages or 3 pages of benefits, but how can I make it more concise? And the same goes for stories, and the same goes for anything you want to say, because a lot of times the words you say are just the same sentence in a different way to still come out with your intention, but everything could be like condensed in a way. And to get the real, I mean, you can be clear on your purpose, you can be clear on your why, what you do and how to do it, but to really strip it off all the nonsense, to as accurately as possible get from point A to Z without losing track, or and doing all this, breaking the wall, finding the connection, and then continuing this, a sense of investment for the audience invested in oneself,
Yes.
so that this, because let's say a TEDx talk about the environment, I mean, the audience must feel invested in, like, shit, Ricardo, we love what you do when you're planting trees and doing this for the community. We will, like, pray, not, I mean, not in an ego way praise you, but it's like, okay, we can't do it, but we can help Ricardo, and we trust Ricardo because of the words Ricardo has said, and you can't lose them on that trail.
Cool. I just adding to what you said, I think that what really back up a great speech or a great idea is what you're talking about. It's actually the action of the
Mm.
person. If the person
Mhm.
is actually doing what it's preaching in
Yeah.
life, and everybody sees that, that is the most powerful persuasion that exists. The speakers that were chosen to the speech now, as all of them, they already persuade us just because they were doing without
Mm.
not asking anybody. They were not waiting for anybody. They were just doing that every day.
Yeah.
That's the hugest
Mm.
persuasion.
Can I say something here?
Yeah.
You cannot really fool the brain. It's not profoundly
Mm.
effectful or for long term. But when you do things, that's when the brain says, "Oh, I'm a virtuous person. I'm a good person." We trust people who do things and not just talking. So
Yes.
that's the logic also for our brain.
I had many persons that were chosen that they were like already doing in action. They were not talkers, they were doers for real.
Mhm.
But when I received their first speech, that I told them, okay, you're gonna become a TED speaker. Send me what you have.
Mhm.
And they sent to me. And I was watching, I was like, fuck, this is you're gonna lose all that you've been doing after this speech. You can't speak like that. So you have to
Uh-huh.
respect the public speaking, respect people. Like we did in the course. They send the material, we start crafting together. They already have the action in real life, and then we start putting together. Came the day of the event, many of them that really put themselves in this vulnerable situation of crafting. They were like on the event, people were like clapping, standing up. They already had the action, but we cannot take the
Mhm.
importance of the knowledge of how you structure your speech, how you tell your story, all this that we are doing here in crafting. They need to do, or they would lose the stage effect. I don't know if you remember the stage effect that we talk about in our events. The stage effect is the effect that if you have a compelling speech, a great storytelling, authenticity, you get from the stage. What I mean with that, I told you I've done an event with the government people, right? I done after I did my speech, I finished my talk. Come a guy, I would like to invite you to go to my next event in October. This is October. I want to put you in my schedule so you speak and you will teach public speaking. So the stage effect is the situation that we create by purpose, so we can get more invitation, so we can get people actually taking action. And we only get the stage effect if we do what we do. Learn to structure, practice storytelling, practice all the techniques, and having the right psychology. Or the stage effect also can go against us. They think, I'm gonna do the way I do, like I told you, like the didactic method. They will only think about themselves. My message is important. They are doing something that might go against them, and they never, get the opportunity to actually help someone or inspire someone to take action.
It's been really good for me because when I started, I had bad experiences behind me when I was going to talk with my colleagues about a conference we had been there, and then they asked me, can you give a short comprehension of the speech of this and that, and I was not able, and it was like I had a problem to get words out of my brain. It's like I couldn't put in words what I wanted to say. When I saw the course, I was like, yes, this is what I'm going to do. And I feel like the course has helped me to liberate my voice in a way. And with all this input that you get, it's so nurturing, really. And I have given actually, while we have been doing the class now, a 4-week course for parents of non-white children. The first meeting was really, I was like, oh, what am I going to say to these people? They don't they don't want to listen to me. They want to talk to each other, you know. And then I made evaluation each week after talking, and the response was that no, you need to talk more.
Mhm.
We want to hear what you have to say, and you need to lead the conversation. And that was also an insight. Like
Hmm.
when you talk with people, uh, give them space to invite them and so on, but also lead the conversation. You have given us a path where we can just apply what you have taught us. They were giving really good feedback, telling me that the way you've been talking to us is really good, and we feel that you have seen us and heard us and so on. I was so happy. And
I,
without this class, I would not have been able to do that. I'm quite sure.
I'm happy. I'm really happy about that. That's and we. I think we all can also feel that you are developing your skills, your storytelling. I think
Mhm.
that's you have this natural storytelling voice. We didn't know. I didn't know you work with your voice. I keep saying like I love the mastermind because I also practice. When I give you the exercise, I get excited. I think the most difficult thing to do in life nowadays it's to stop. Yesterday I was doing a post of my own event, TED Talks, that that I just done. That was like a success. I'm really thankful to the universe. Everything worked perfect. But I had to do a post that I know I would get many likes here in Brazil and people would love. And I was like, shit, I have to stop to do that. I mean, it takes energy. We cannot grow if we don't stop. So that's why I love also that is something that forced me to stop and practice and do because that's the only way we can grow, in my opinion. So now we're gonna imagine that we are going to do our TED talk, a new one, and I will give you 3 questions. And these questions I was giving to my speakers, okay, to help them to find a direction. It's not like you have to follow this, but we are here following this as one of the directions to create a talk. The first question is like, okay, it's almost the same question as the problem solution benefit, but it's not the same. Only the first question. The first question is, uh, what is the problem you're trying to solve? It's an idea, yeah, or especially it's a problem you're trying to solve in the world. So this would be the first question. What's the problem you're trying to solve? And then you connect with yourself. You connect with your past. You connect with the things you like to study. You connect with the things that you like to search when nobody's watching. These are the things that are probably the things connected with your purpose. What are the things that maybe if you start talking, people be like, "This, you're crazy." What's the problem you're trying to solve? Okay. So we have 2 minutes to write something down. Just to start. We are just starting. Doesn't need to be perfect.
I wrote like a landscape for us to be ourselves. Just like an idea for that.
Yes, but I think it's too subjective. For example, I'm writing here also one. I want to inspire people to build smaller. Okay, so it's more specific. That's the problem I want to solve. People are building too big. People are destroying the floors, building too big, and there's no need for that. Stop building big and start making smaller houses. So this is the problem I want to solve.
Because most of our problems, we already have the solution to. Probably make a skit where I can, talk to myself as two people to explain like the gap between the actual problem and solution. So not only I can explore with myself, but so other people can perceive like, oh, most of the solutions can be found right now. We often don't want to stop, but it's only in the stopping, as you said, is when you grow, and that's the whole point, is the growth. Perceived is easier than just staying the same.
My question for you is like, okay, what's the problem you want to solve?
Illusions or perceptions. I mean, a change of perception can solve or dissolve so many of your issues.
Yes, I know, but that one says like this is beautiful in the theory, it's
Yeah,
really cool. I totally agree with you with
yeah.
everything you said. But then I'm asking you, okay, if I'm in your audience listening to you, Okay, and you're saying
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that
I
to
need
me.
to work on what I'm gonna say. That's
Yeah,
my
then
idea.
I'll
What
be
I want
like,
to break
okay,
down.
I'll be like, okay, fuck, man, it was
Yeah,
really interesting, everything what he said, but actually, I'm more
yeah.
lost than it,
No, I get
me,
that.
you know. So I totally agree with you. I can see your
Mm.
full thinking. It's clear. Me as an audience, I am like, okay, bro. So make easy for me. Make easy for me to change a little bit, because that's what I'm saying. We as speakers, we need to make it easy for the people that are willing for a change, or they become even more confused. They be like, okay,
Yeah,
what's so hard? I'm not gonna do anything. I'm staying here.
perfect. Thank you for the feedback.
Okay, Magnus.
It's to help teenage girls in the world to steer away from destructive forces and into positive forces to feel better and get a healthy lifestyle.
Cool, cool. So it's, you see, it's a lot more clear what you want to solve. Like
Hmm.
it's easier for you to create something. So it's
Hmm.
cool. I'm curious to hear about that. How about you, Aminata?
I also started, like a bit "Whoa," like this, and then you said something. You started. I want to inspire, and then I realized that okay, yeah, I have to really come up with something that is concrete. I want to inspire young people to create their own future, like to know that finding knowledge and creating their own future is up to them. And why? Because this young people are so disoriented today, and the society is so complicated, and they have such little knowledge about society, and society is not very welcoming. And those who are like 20, 21, 22, 20, they come to me all the time and ask me questions like, how can I do with this and how can I do with that? And they don't even know that there are unions that can help you in the work market and stuff like that. They told me you need to write the book, Mama,
Yeah.
write a book about society, so we know how we can, how we can deal with it.
Okay, guys. So we go to the second question. Okay, to help us build. What do you want people to think and feel different? That's really important word. What do you want people to think and feel different after they heard you speaking? Why the different is it's important? Because the different it's connected to what you uniquely trying to solve. So I will share with you mine. I want people to think that nature, to preserve nature, is part of what they need to do, not wait for, like, the government is responsible to protect, the government is responsible to plant, the government, no, forget that. We need to think that, okay, I also need to think about what can I do to preserve. Because I think, like, for example, here in Brazil, people wait too much. you know the government need to do first. I never like this kind of mindset. I don't like to wait. I like to do. Second is, like, I want them to think that it's not necessary to build big houses, because we actually don't need all the spaces in our houses. If you see in your own house, you stay usually 40%, 50% of your time in one spot, and then you go to the other spot for 20% of the time. You're probably, Magnus, more part of your time in this chair that you are now. Of your in your whole house, you're probably 50% in this small space. And that's what I'm saying. Why should we build something huge and destroy the forest? We can use the external area to build with nature. So I want people to think like that. Okay. So how about you?
I want them to get an insight into the life of a teenage girl in 2024.
I mean, I've been learning a lot about branding and stuff, and I mean, branding is the feeling and thoughts associated with an image or yourself. And I thought, okay, well, if we now want to derive change, the only way to create be associated with change is to create a change for them. I would help them, I mean, through stories and analogies and things, to bring them out of one of their own internal issues so they themselves can get the perception and let a limit or some form of belief dissolve. You are the gap between you and your goal. It has to be something that can be done and experienced right there. I can't do anything alone, but I can change myself, and that can set into an effect.
Trying to control people or youngsters, you should try to empower them so that they can take their own responsibility, and you should stop trying to save people. What you have to do is to try to help them find their own path and their own strength and their own voice. So if I could create that mind shift in people when I talk to them, that would be fantastic.
So this is a structure. I think that how much more specific we are in our answers make us create a compelling structure. It's really important, a compelling structure. If you're going to start studying how much structured the speech influences on people saying that your speech was great, it's huge. People don't think about that. People sometimes they think that, it's only the stories, it's only the connection with your audience, but a structured speech with a we understand, the person thought the whole way through, that give the audience a subconscious feeling of feeling, shit, this person know what he's talking about.
Mm.
That's why I insist here. It's not like throwing words only, blah, 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 because we, as I told you, subconsciously, when we see structure, why people like Sweden? Because Sweden has structure, right? Why people trust Sweden? Because they say Sweden is trustful. People, you go in the bus and the bus passes their time, they say it passes. You pay the taxes and they do the right things, what they say they do. That is a structure. So when there is a structure, you feel safe. Maybe a lie, but you feel at least, and you feel that the person's taking you, they thought about you, they thought about what they are doing. Right? So structure is powerful. And also few people think like that about structure. That's why I insist, that's why it's good to craft, to make it that we feel they thought about everything. I've been doing that for a long time with workshops, with a whole event. It needs to be orchestra from the beginning to the end, so people cannot feel there was a gap and you didn't thought about anything. Even through, after a while, even through, if you didn't thought about anything, it will seem that you thought about everything, because the way you already been doing. Okay, so our last question: what do you want people to do different? First, the second question was, what do you want people to think and feel? Now it's like, what do you want people to do different after they heard your speech?
Yeah, I said to be more empathetic with teen girls, but it's not an action in itself. I don't know actually what they could do, but maybe if I speak to principals or teachers or parents, then it's easier for me to see. But in general, I don't know.
Okay, you would think about.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll think
so
about it.
Sebastian.
That the current experience doesn't need to affect their cognitive abilities as much as it used to in the past.
I have a
We
challenge
don't.
for you. I have a challenge for you. I
Yeah,
want you to answer that
as
less
short as possible.
subjective. No, it's not about that. It's like less subjective. The question is, what action do you want them to do different? That's the question.
To believe in themselves, to go for it, to actually take the leap and do it.
Okay,
Whatever it is, just push through.
okay. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's a lot more clear now.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? For
Mm-hmm.
us, and it's going to be a lot more clear for you also to create the speech, because now with all this information, we're going to create the talk.
Funnily enough, I kind of end up on the same note that Magnus did. I mean, they should become more, or they should be, when after listening, more empathic and listen to their youngsters. And
Which action? Okay, so listening, it's
yeah,
more
to listen to the youngsters and give them guidance instead of punishments or trying to control them.
yes.
So yeah, something like that.
Okay. So I wrote here my actions. The action would be inspire them to actually next construction that they will do. There will be a smaller house, and after that they would start spreading that message to other people. I just built my my first house was a big house. Now I built a small house because I understand that this is the way that we can protect the forests. So that would be the action I want them to do. And you, Christina?
I used to realize, like, I think I'm more like a producer, like, because if you ask, like, would you want to stand and talk on TED, it's more like, yeah, if I need, but I would prefer to create a platform. So I like to create, like, to have the platform, and I know the vision, and I know, like, we are gathering here. Like, I think
but I think that this is great. But if you need to talk about that in a workshop, then you also need to, because maybe somebody invite you to a workshop.
Yeah.
Let's talk about creating, but we can craft that on the exercise. Everybody understood the questions. We're gonna try to make a 5-minute video, okay? I will do it. I don't know if you do it. I will do it. I will do it and practice. First, answer the question: what problem you want to solve? Second question: what do you want people to feel and think different after hearing your speech? And question 3: what do you want people to do different after they hear your speech?
Question.
Yes.
Will the video be about these 3 questions? It's not gonna, yeah. Are we gonna record?
No, the video will be your speech.
Okay, the video will be my speech. But this is
Yes.
the foundation for the speech.
This is the foundation. Yeah, and you already have your speech. As you said, you want to talk about the child, they are too much online. You have a great subject to create. It's interesting. I want to hear about that. It's really interesting.
I think maybe that's my problem with the storytelling, the previous exercise. I didn't feel that someone was interested. So that's good. If someone would have said, "Oh, tell me that story," then I would, yeah, let me tell.
Yeah. So I'm already telling you that now to you.
Great. Now I will start right away. Bye. I need to work on my story.
Okay, guys. So thank you for today. For
tiny TEDx, yeah.
Yes.
Like tiny houses and tiny TEDx, yeah.
Love it.
Interesting. The more specific we get, it is very smart to exercise, because when we are too wide, it's a little bit hard for us to recommend. But if she would be too wide, I want to save the world, I would be like, I don't know where I should recommend you. So I think it's,
yeah. And that's an advantage of having structure, because people can see, that structure fits into that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So so I hope everybody will do the exercise and used to do, and that's also like, you do it for yourself, not even for other ones to like. You do it for you.
Hey guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.